Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, Gianni Mingo.
And Mingo was his name-o, Gianni Mingo, 21 years old.
How long were you waiting to use that one, Jim?
Well, so I kind of cheated. I used to train with Gianni, and I busted that one out a time or two. He thought it was funny once, and by like the 8th time,
yeah, played out. Played out.
I was persistent. I kept throwing it out there anyway. Gianni Mingo making his MMA debut. Now, he does have cage experience. He fought in a kickboxing fight, I want to say maybe 2018. He was a teenager, like 17 years old. So he does have some cage experience, but it's been a long time.
His opponent stepping into the red corner, Jacob Swanson.
Here we go, Jacob Swanson making the walk.
I want them dead presidents. I want to pull up.
Jacob Swanson, no relation to Ron Swanson, 27 years old, stands 6'1" with a 1-0 record. He will have the height and experience advantage. We saw Jacob not long ago, last October, making his debut, picking up a decision victory over Michael Campbell at the Tannery in Beaufort. So running it back quick.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this next amateur mixed martial arts contest is three-minute rounds in the NFC's welterweight division. Introducing first, blue corner, 1-year-old and 170 pounds. Fighting out of Gwinnett, Georgia, representing Team Lima. And his opponent, fighting out of the red corner. This 27-year-old has a record, 1 victory, 0 defeats. He stands 6'1" tall, weighing in at 170 pounds. Fighting out of Milledgeville, Georgia, representing Milledgeville Academy of Swanson.
Big up to Jacob Swanson. I haven't seen a pair of bad boy shorts since I grappled out of Casca Grossa.
That was a throwback for sure.
Yeah, any of you that remember those tournaments.
Here we go, Gianni Mingo and Jacob Swanson underway, MMA rules. So again, no strikes to a grounded opponent. I'll be curious to see what kind of energy Gianni has here. I know he was struggling to make the weight at 170. Johnny's a big boy. He probably walks around at 200 pounds. He likes the weights. He is strong, and he moves very well for a guy his size.
Big quads, big shoulders, but Swanson definitely has him on a little bit of height here. Both guys definitely trying to measure each other. Ooh, immediately Mingo, hard right hand, stepping in, trying to follow Swanson to the cage. Swanson, desperation shot. Mingo stands him up. Swanson presses to the cage here.
Good sprawl by Mingo. He's a solid blue belt, active on the mat. And again, the guys with those big thighs, big glutes, they can be real tough to take down as Jacob Swanson gladly accepts that challenge.
Swanson with the scoop. Now on top in half guard, but Gianni has his head trapped, which holding on to the head here could be detrimental if Swanson is able to pass out of that half guard. But he has freed his head. Now Mingo is pressing with that forearm. Swanson looking like he's actually trying to get his head back underneath his arm to set up the head and arm choke from that half guard. Gianni realizing what he was about to do, and he pulls that elbow in. Very smart. Mingo now trying to walk the cage as Swanson tries to get that back attack. Oh, he's got his hooks in. He is holding on tight. Can't quite tell if he has that arm under the chin. Nope. Gianni is fighting his arms off. 1 minute left in the round as we see Swanson now clinging to Gianni Mingo's back.
We'll see how long he wants to hold on to this. Mingo's shaking him off. We'll see how long he wants to use his legs. I mean, it does take some effort to keep that squeezing the body and hanging on. I think for Swanson, they're really not going to get anything from this position.
And Mingo shakes him off. Swanson loses the hook, but manages to keep his feet.
We're under 30 seconds here in our first round.
Gianni Mingo just controlling here. Swanson trying to find some grips in order to spin off the fence.
Yeah, Gianni posturing up, looking like he wants to engage in that
Big
clinch.
knee.
Good shots.
Boom, and that's the first round right there. Both guys still looking fairly fresh.
Good forward pressure by Jacob Swanson. Very active competitor here. Only 1-0 in MMA, but also competes in Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu. When you combine all of those arts together, he's currently on a 14, we'll call it fight/match winning streak. So trying to keep that momentum going. And as you always attest to, Lawson, one of the best things you can do as an amateur is just keep yourself out there, whether it's jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, kickboxing, just get out there and do it.
That's right, just keep getting out there and doing stuff. Be active, be as active as you can. Garner as much experience as you can from any competition. Because at the bottom of it all, it is all still a competition, and it will help at the end of the day, especially if your goal is to be an MMA champion.
And you see in the corner, Jacob Swanson, his coaches Frank Mullis, Quentin Culpepper, Joseph Fortune, and then, of course, big Diego Lima in the corner of Gianni Mingo. Shout out to Essence Freeman, got a big win earlier, and now she's out here applying ice.
Yep. Looking at Mr. Lima, it is baffling me how he could have ever been a welterweight.
I feel like we have to mention that every show. I mean, he's so
such
damn
a big dude.
For all you muscleheads out there that think it's probably 170 even though I'm 5'6", don't do that. Go stand next to Diego or Amir Dodovic, and that'll change your mind real quick.
Amir is a very big guy.
Lay off the bicep curls and go down to 145. Here we go, round number 2.
All right, let's see how they get this going. Swanson flashing that jab out there.
And because Mingo ended up on the cage and ultimately on the ground, I wonder if this affects his forward pressure, if he starts to be a little bit more reserved.
He definitely seems a little bit more hesitant this round. He's definitely not leading with that big right like he did last time. There it is, though.
Yeah, he heard you.
He definitely heard me.
Swanson doing a good job of keeping the shoulder up and the chin down, not eating that right hand. And it paid dividends right there. That could have been the end of his night.
It almost looks like Gianni is trying to measure for that right hand now. Or that left high kick, which he's now throwing. Hooks and high kicks from Gianni. Stepping into the double, and Swanson dumps him again. Good defensive shot and takedown by Swanson. He needs to capitalize here and score some points, though.
Gianni's looking for that Kimura. When he went to the ground, instead of trying to get back up, he immediately hooked and accepted that bottom half. So, he went for the Kimura, was not able to get it. Now he's going to have to fight out of this position.
Right here, this is a tussle, though, as Gianni is really, really trying to scrape out here. But Swanson is just collecting those legs and doggedly pursuing that takedown.
Good move by Mingo. Dragging himself into his own corner.
Shades of Conor McGregor there doing the double hand pull back to the fence.
This is Brantley Furr, who is a former coach of the year here in the state of Georgia back in 2021. As we have 1 minute left here in round number 2, it has been all Jacob Swanson here with the top pressure.
Gianni's definitely starting to mouth breathe pretty heavy. Swanson's pressure definitely starting to drain Mingo. Swanson just wet blanket pressure the whole way. Just staying connected, staying on him, making Gianni carry his weight. Now he's back to the single on the fence, trying to scoop that leg, put Gianni on his butt. Gianni trying to defend, but his whizzer is not quite right there. Oh, bad sign, Gianni. I can see him looking at the clock. Don't look at the clock, Gianni. I can tell.
Yeah, I don't know if that was fatigue or he might just be seeing how much time. Maybe he's looking to do something a little risky. Wants to see how much time is left. I think at this point he just wants to get his leg back.
I would too. Swanson's been holding on to that for a while now, Jim. Ooh, break from round 2.
Jacob Swanson continuing to assert his will here, showing off his wrestling pedigree. Gianni Mingo hasn't found an answer for it yet. A little surprised. Gianni Mingo 9-1 in grappling and all 9 victories by way of submission. But as a wise man once told me, Lawson, it happens also to you. It changes everything when someone can punch you in the face.
It absolutely does. Right here, we see both corners giving very passionate advice to their guys.
And if you're Gianni Mingo, this can be a kind of a perplexing place to be because you know you're down 2-0, and the only way to really come back is be more aggressive. You're thinking, if I'm more aggressive, I'm probably going to end up on my butt again. But when you're down 2 rounds, you got to start taking some chances.
You know, he needs to get low. He needs to drive in with that jab, try and land that big right hand. The way he loops it out, if he just slides a little bit to his left as he's throwing it, he might be able to catch Swanson behind the ear with it. He has a tendency to kind of flare that elbow, flick his hand around. But we've seen plenty of guys get knockouts with that right hand like that. Most notably, Tyron Woodley. He would frequently throw those kind of sidelong hooks on either side, and he would knock you the heck out.
Gianni Mingo back up on his feet really quickly. I would be surprised if we see him more active. You know, he hasn't been in the cage in about 5 years, so it's not surprising to me that he came out a little reserved. You'll see guys do that because they don't want to blow their wad. But in this last round, he looks good. He's not breathing hard. I think he might
his
bring
breathing has slowed down quite a bit. His recovery is pretty impressive. He's back to being very bouncy this round. Swanson is still very red, very sweaty here. Ooh, Swanson with a nice counter jab, getting in there as Mingo looking for that big looping right hook that I was just mentioning earlier.
Johnny, I know he needs the finish, but he needs to be careful to be composed and not wind up into those big shots. He's having some success. I mean, Swanson is eating some of his shots. He needs to, Gianni, if I'm him, I'm closing the distance a little bit so my shots aren't so lungy.
Big right hands from Gianni again. We can hear those ringside folks, and let me tell you, they are heavy. Swanson getting those shields up, but still obviously feeling the heaviness of the blow.
There you go. Gianni's got some good Dutch-style kickboxing. I'd like to see him unload it here as he almost knocks our monitor over.
Yeah. All right, fellas, thank you. You're messing up our stuff.
As my audio guy just looks at me like unfrickin' believable. As they just killed our monitor.
They just killed our monitor, folks. We can no longer commentate on the fights because we can't see them. No, I'm just kidding. We're ringside.
Damn it. Thought we were going home early.
That was hilarious, though. The only thing funnier than that is when we get spattered with blood, Jim. Which, surprisingly, hasn't happened tonight.
It's because you're not wearing a white shirt. It's only when you're wearing white.
It's true.
Swanson underneath the butt and got that grasp. Mingo's going to have to find a way to separate here. Swanson is really no incentive to push the pace here. He's going to hold on as long as referee Brett McKeon allows him.
Very nice. Oh, but Mingo with good hips, using his feet on the cage to right himself. Excellent job.
Mingo's an athlete.
Got to get off that fence, though. Got to get off that fence. Very nice ankle collection by Swanson right there. Just grinding Gianni into the floor. Just putting his weight on him and just making him carry that weight for the whole round.
Gianni looking to use the head to separate. Swanson just relentless, though, holding on to that leg. He's content to just ride this one out.
Truly dogged determination on those takedowns by Swanson. Gianni definitely doing what I actually thought he should have been doing a little bit sooner, which is just giving Swanson some of those short shots on the inside there.
And this fight is in the books. Jacob Swanson and Gianni, maybe the Mingo 8-year baby, go all 3 rounds. And what I've got to believe is a unanimous decision victory for Mr. Swanson.
I would assume so as well, but you never know.
Swanson, great job with wrestling today and really controlled all 3 rounds. Didn't allow Gianni to move around, use his athleticism. And if you're Gianni, obviously a little hesitant. If you haven't been in the cage in that long, it's normal. You don't know what kind of pace you should set. You don't know how your adrenaline's going to feel. He looked good.
Yeah.
Just got to pull the trigger and let it go.
Very much like my hash browns at Waffle House, he was smothered and covered for at least 2 of those 3 rounds. And a good portion of the 3rd.
Fans, don't forget to tune in this Monday to the NFC podcast with Julian Virgin. He will have all the results and all the gossip from tonight at NFC 161. He'll chat with the winners, talk with matchmaker Jesse Wable for full analysis. We'll hopefully get some injury updates on Brock and Lucius. Tune in this Monday night to the NFC podcast. You can find it on their Facebook page and YouTube page. Again, that's the NFC podcast. Monday nights at 7 o'clock with your host, Julian Virgin.
All right. Judges, taking a second. This is taking a little bit longer than
So,
I thought it would do.
this reminds me of a story actually involved Gianni Mingo. He had this one kickboxing fight when he was, 16 years old. And he lost, all 3 rounds. I thought it was pretty evident that he lost all 3. They read the judge's decision. He gets a unanimous decision win. And Justin Burns, who is the cornerman of the other fighter, is losing his mind. Justin, he's pretty fiery. And it turns out
redhead, yes.
Turns out the judges mixed up the scorecards. They read it backwards, so then they had to bring them back in the cage later and reverse the decision.
Very funny.
Watching Justin Burns and Pat Barger yell at each other.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Those
after
redheads are about to
3
tear into
rounds,
each other.
We have
Would've been
ourselves
chuckling the
a
whole time.
split decision. Judge A scores it. Swanson. Judge B scores this contest 29-28 Mingo. And Judge C scores this contest 29-28 for your winner by split decision, Jacob Swanson.
A split decision. A little surprising for me. I thought that was a pretty decided victory, but nonetheless, Jacob Swanson taking home the W. I didn't see that one coming, Lawson.
No. Excellent fight, though. Gianni obviously had the advantage on his feet, but he just could not keep Swanson off of him. And as we discussed, it can be a little bit tougher because as a smaller guy, you got to get closer. And if the guy wants to take you down, well, that's exactly where he wants you. He wants you closer.
And for Mingo, he didn't take any damage. I think he can really build off this. Hopefully he runs it back. He clearly was in great shape.